how are we supposed to get inspired? Let's think about this. You have expectations of how your art is supposed to look. So you've been following tutorials for a while and you've gotten into the space of coming up with your own ideas, and it feels so freaking heavy. Today, I'm going to address the massive elephant in the art studio. And it's the topic us artists don't talk about enough, or honestly at all: where our ideas for what goes on the page next come from. Today, I'm going to paint a flower composition inspired by an artist I respect here on YouTube. And all the while, I'm going to share some pitfalls of thinking that all your ideas have to come just from here. Now, if you want to paint along with me today, I am using Academy watercolor paper, my new booster set, plus the Art for Joy's Sake palette, a brush I am testing, which is just a really big round brush that comes to a nice point. And you'll see why later, but I taped down my paper, which I never do. All right, let's get this conversation started. Recently, during one of my Patreon live streams, a really amazing question was asked. Christy, how are we supposed to get our ideas for our next painting? So of course, my lovely patron said, well, they all have to come from our head, right? And I'm like, no, listen. They don't, because our ideas are made up of just the whole entire sense of our being. Everything we smell, everything we taste, everything we see is going to give input into an idea that we have. So wouldn't it make sense that everything we smell, everything we taste, everything we see has the chance to inspire a new idea? It's not like there's just some village in our brain of little ideas that have never been exposed to the world, just up there manufacturing concepts for us and our next paintings. It just doesn't work like that. As I continue to give my very excited answer in that live stream, I brought up the book Your Brain on Art: How the Arts Transform Us. And friends, I highly recommend this one. I will have links to grab your own copy down in the description. I'm getting into the idea of neuroaesthetics, and I feel so relieved that neuroaesthetics is being studied because it makes me feel not so weird in this world anymore, and I bet it will you as well. Here is the very short of it. Christy Science time, okay? Basically, everything that we're surrounded with, everything that impacts our senses, smells, taste, touch, visuals, have the ability to make us feel joy or the opposite. And the study of neuroaesthetics is studying how the things that we love visually and otherwise, if we surround ourselves with them, we feel more joy. And this idea ties directly into how we get inspired, because all those things we love in our daily lives can be infused into a new idea that we start with. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, because I haven't finished Your Brain on Art yet, but I'm going to say that if we take time to surround ourselves with the things that we love, that make us happy and joyful, we might just come up with ideas for our next painting more readily. But that comes with a certain amount of permission we need to give ourselves. And I'm going to tell you how that works right now. You know, today we're talking a lot about how to get inspired and how we should get inspired. And one thing I know is that experimenting with your art supplies is one of the best creative resets around. And friends, yes, one of my products is the sponsor of today's video, the Swatching Stamp Set. When creating this set of stamps, I thought about creating ritual, and a ritual that doubles as a creative reset. Catalog your supplies, get to know them, use them in a beautiful way that isn't super rigid. And that's another reason I created these swatching stamps, because I felt like swatching the traditional way was a little bit boring. What I love about these most is that you have all the traditional elements. You can put brand name, light fastness ratings, and all of that stuff. But you can combine different stamps to explore your supplies in really unique ways. And friends, I hope you'll forgive me for sponsoring my own videos lately, but heck, I've designed a bunch of cool art supplies and maybe you didn't know about it. So thanks for listening. So this painting that I've been working on while I'm chatting away here is inspired by Sarah Cray. Just before I started recording this, I saw this reel on her Instagram, and it immediately set off sirens in my creative brain. And I knew, because I'm used to these feelings, that a new idea was brewing. And friends, did I feel bad because that idea was inspired by the work of another artist? I didn't, because I believe we are not solely responsible for generating ideas. No, I know that the things I see and surround myself with are going to impact the ideas that I have. We are instead responsible for learning how to curate an idea, understanding the parts of it, what inspired it, and therefore how to curate a very curious life. Now, let me quickly break down what I mean by how to curate the parts of an idea. Yes, there is a question of copying. Now, if I were to say that I was inspired by Sarah and then go ahead and create something remarkably similar and then try to sell it and put it on every single product that I released in the next year, that's a problem. But if Sarah's reel on Instagram inspires me to create something similar, and I do that just for the sake of enjoying a painting experience, then that is a very good thing. And please know, today's conversation isn't about you getting ideas for artwork that you plan intentionally to sell. That's a whole other video. All right, let's talk about my mental entry point for today's painting. The idea here is the entire point, not the painting itself. My idea came from Sarah first, not my head. And my idea's origin didn't make my final painting any less worthy. Here's what it comes down to, friends. We must learn to be relentlessly curious and realize that that habit, that practice that we can learn and build consistently in our life is the spring from which our ideas will swell. And friends, if you're confused and you have questions about an idea that you've been working on and you want to share it in the comments, go for it. That's what the Watercolor Land community is for. I've really been enjoying the nature sketching book by John Muir Laws. And the thing I cannot shake from that book at the very beginning is the absolute dedication to refining a sense of curiosity in your life. Muir asks a couple of questions, and he invites you to do the same so that you become more curious more reliably. What does this remind me of? I wonder. I notice. So let me take you through my thinking as I used Sarah's reel as the starting point for today's painting. Sarah reminded me that watercolor, first and foremost, doesn't always have to be super explosive, textured, and ombre'd, okay? I loved her smooth coral background. And yes, I copied that. Now I added my own little touch with the edges having a little bit more intensity, but yeah, it's pretty much the same, okay? She also inspired me to try taping down. I wonder if I might start enjoying my artwork more with that crisp white edge that Sarah gets from taping first. I wondered if this simple change could pull me out of the slump that I've been telling you all I've been in for quite a while. I noticed that I'm feeling quite good lately when painting my Hoya plants. And so instead of a white flower on this coral background, I'm going to go for another Hoya. I hope today's video gives you permission to be kinder to yourself about where your ideas come from. Now, I'm guessing after hearing all this that you've got some ideas to get back to that maybe you abandoned because you thought they weren't original enough. Go get them. Start asking those Muir Laws questions. What does this remind me of? I wonder. I notice. And I wish you so much happy painting.